where your kind of public relations journey starts.
And it's interesting. I love that point. We hadn't talked about that. I love that point. I think part of it too, and obviously you're the expert, but sometimes people ask, well, what's the difference between public relations and say marketing, right? And
Yeah.
and for me, if someone were to ask me that question, and I'll ask it to you in a second, but I would say it's two peas of the same pod. I think in my mind, public relations is a conversation around facilitating an external source, okay, in terms of allowing that relationship, as you were talking about, to grow. Whereas for me, marketing, if you would ask me that question, marketing is a conversation around facilitating an internal source via social, direct mail, or something like that. What's your take on that? What would you say to that?
Yeah, mine is exactly the same as yours. So back in the day when I was at university, public relations and marketing they sat side by side. Now, if you worked in public relations, you stuck in your lane, and all you did was you kind of dealt with journalists and you secured coverage for your clients in the media. That's where it ended. Marketing, on the other hand, like you say, is then using your message through direct messaging, through emails, through your blogs, through social media.
Right.
Period. Now, actually, they're kind of bedfellows.
Interesting.
I honestly don't believe that you can have one without the other.
Okay.
And I always describe it as like a pie. So everything you do to communicate about your business is a pie. Now, PR is just one slice. Marketing is another slice. Social media is another slice. Working with ambassadors is another slice.
Right.
So yeah, each slice on its own is yummy. It's great. It satisfies you in the moment. But if you've got the whole pie, it makes more of an impact. So I'm all for working collaboratively with social media managers, digital managers, marketing managers, because it's this one collective that kind of delivers more of a powerful message, because the goal of all of it is to raise your profile and get more people to know about you to buy your stuff.
Right. No, you're absolutely right about that. And I want to ask you a little bit about the different breakdown: television, radio, podcasting, all that stuff. But before I do, let's just get the listeners a little bit of a feel for who you are and what you're all about. Obviously, you're out there in the UK. You've been doing this for a little bit. Give us a feel for just a little bit of your background and just kind of how you go about doing things, if you don't mind, because I know a little bit about you, but I don't think anybody else does right this second.
No, of course. And, I love talking about what I do and sharing that to inspire other people and to kind of get them excited about a PR journey that they may even not have thought about before. So for me, I've always loved communication, and I've got a really inquisitive mind, and I just love asking questions to get knowledge. So public relations is something that I studied at university. And I knew it was the right career path for me because it ticked so many of my boxes. So after university, I worked for 2 kind of small to medium-sized agencies in London. And in 2013, I was coming up to my 30th birthday. And I really kind of got to that point that I thought, this can't be it. Like, you really cannot spend the rest of your life working for someone else. And I was quite a senior member of the team at the agency I was at, and I was starting to do a lot of new business outreach. So I was finding brands who I felt a connection to, who I'd be super proud of working with. And I had this light bulb moment of, hold on a minute, you could be doing this for yourself.
Right.
Because all you're going to be doing is bringing clients into an agency. You then may not actually be working on that team. That could go to a different team. And yes, I'd have got kind of commission for it. But I thought, no, like this is the next step. It's going out on your own. And really in the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to really focus on what I want to do.
Right.
And that is helping the entrepreneurs and the small guys who probably haven't got the financial investment to invest in a PR agency.
Right. The huge budgets.
Yeah, of course. So I thought, well, hold on, I've got the 15 years, well, I've now got 15 years experience. But for me, it's about helping people share their message to a wider audience.
Right.
So have a conversation, start a discussion about what they need, how you
Right.
can help. And then obviously the financial conversation becomes part of it.
Right.
But really for me now, it's about connecting to the entrepreneur or the business owner, really kind of focusing on the solutions that they provide for people, how they do that. And then it's a case of connecting them to the people in the media who then have like a ready-made audience waiting for content.
Right.
So for me, it's, you know, it's the whole communication piece, it's the whole connection piece,
Okay.
sharing stories. So it's
Okay.
just breaking it down and just
Okay.
elevating people so that everyone can experience having more people buy their stuff.
Well, good. Let's jump into the weeds a little bit because I know this is an area that I struggled with. We talked about this. I'm sure other people have had some challenge. Let's break it down into some different components, okay? So in my mind, you have a few things. You have definitely television. You definitely have radio. You have some print if you want to have that conversation. You can pick whatever you like. And you also have podcasting. Like I know those are like top of mind for most people, like they would understand those things. Can you give us a little bit of a feel for maybe some pros and cons of either one or two? If you want to do all four, that's fine. You'll have to, but can you give us some pros and cons of maybe one or two of those elements? And if you don't mind, can you definitely get the podcasting in? Because I know people, you know, they're like, man, I want to be on podcasts, but maybe I should start my own podcast. If you don't mind, I'd love to hear that too. So go right ahead. However you want to answer that question is totally fine.
Sure. Well, I'm going to dive right into podcasts because
Okay.
we're on a podcast now. Podcasts
Yeah.
are very much up and coming and are seen as an easy way of sharing your message. With podcasts, what I find is there's now so many of them that you can get distracted really quickly when doing your research
Right.
to find out which podcasts probably best fit what you offer.
Right.
So, for example, if
And we're
you're
talking, I'm sorry, Laura, just for interjection. So for those of you guys who are listening, what we're talking about is being an interview on a podcast versus starting your own. You can do that, but what we're talking about, and the point she's making is there's a lot of, if you don't mind me speaking for you for a second, there's a lot of podcasts out there. You start doing your research, it can be overwhelming. And now she's working us through what that looks like. I just wanted to get that clear. Go ahead.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you for clarifying. So, I mean, for example, if you're a personal trainer, if you type fitness podcasts into Google,
Okay.
you're literally going to be like inundated with so many different podcasts. And again, if you do it in iTunes or if you've got like the podcast app on your iPhone, keywords just can send you off into like a head spin because there is so much. So what I say to people, and I say this whichever kind of media outlet they want to be part of, is really think about who you want to inspire. Who do you want to impact with your message? Who do you really want to target? So then when it comes to researching podcasts, you've got some more specific keywords rather than just fitness podcasts. So you're then kind of almost focusing on the solution that the listeners are looking for rather than super generic terms that are just going to kind of cause you all manner of, of confusion.
Do you go about, like when you work with people, just trying to get a vision of clarity for the